Welcome to the Reddit stories. r/Askreddit. What's a subtle sign of low intelligence? People who confuse their opinions with facts. To add, people who think they know everything are generally pretty stupid. Smart. People will defer questions to qualified and experienced individuals because they are acutely aware of their own limitations, and that's what helps make them smart. They are not scared to admit they lack knowledge in certain topics or fields, and they will learn from that more experienced person to add to their library of knowledge and experience. Stupid people don't know they are stupid, they think they know everything and won't seek out more experienced people and admit to their limitations, admit they don't know all about certain things, uses only empty buzzwords in their conversations. I've got a coworker who only communicates in phrases like situational awareness and following breadcrumbs, and asks for meetings to amplify our synergy. This person was promoted beyond their level of competence and has no idea how to do the job. I do love the term situation awareness though. Some people truly lack it. This term was thrown around a lot in my military days. I've noticed that the dumber someone is, the dumber they assume everyone else is. Smarter people will often try to see the other side of an argument, assuming there's nothing else at play, like low self-esteem. People with lower intelligence often assume that people who disagree with them are simply dumb, because they imagine their arguments to be dumb. Likewise, people that lie, steal, cheat etc. also tend to assume everyone else does or would given the chance. Buying a new car when you're broke AF. Dude, yes. I have a friend who is broke AF, already barely making ends meet. What does she do a few months ago? Buy a truck. When gas is $5 a gallon. Now she can't even afford to take her kid to the dentist when he has cavities so bad his teeth hurt. Pisses me off to see, honestly. Not understanding hypothetical questions. Weirdest thing a fellow programmer has ever said to me is I don't do hypotheticals. Hell, 90% of the job is thinking about hypotheticals. What if this field had that value, and then this method is called etc. That's the kind of thinking that a programmer is doing all the time. But not that guy, I guess. Thinking people speaking a second language imperfectly means the person is stupid. I worked in a PT clinic where one of the therapists was taking on Spanish speaking patients so he could improve his Spanish. He wasn't great, but he was definitely improving. It also allowed him to widen his patient list so he could be more valuable to the team. The other non-Spanish speaking therapists were making fun of him. It boggled my mind. Lack of curiosity. You ever had to train or work with someone who just has no desire to know anything beyond what you're telling them or the why behind what they are doing? Every instruction needs to be laid out in painstaking detail. If an issue arises, there's no desire to understand why or attempt to fix it. They just error out and stand there waiting for instruction. It's like programming a computer, but the computer is a human potato, using too many words to explain a simple concept or story. Dumbing it down actually requires some hardcore brain power at times. I'll be the first to admit, I had no idea how hard dumbing things down was until I had children. Like, how do I dumb down how to pour cereal? They ask so many questions that are amazingly simple for me to know, but super difficult to explain. Getting sucked into the easy and fast money scheme du jour. MLMs, NFTs, pyramid schemes, investments, you name it. I think it's worth mentioning that a lot of this stuff preys on vulnerable groups of people. For example, with regards to MLMs, they largely target young mothers from conservative cultures with no tertiary education, who have been disconnected from the labor force for a long time. MLMs market themselves as a way for such people who often feel alienated from the professional workforce to be employed outside the domestic realm and to work with people like them. Joining an MLM is a very emotional decision rather than a logical one, which is why it can seem stupid when you don't resonate with those emotional needs, because on paper it just looks like a bad deal. Mocking or making fun of people who want to learn more or get a higher education. To piggyback on this, people who mock others who are intelligent but weren't able to get a higher education, assuming that they can't be intelligent unless they followed the traditional education path. Judging an idea or concept based purely upon some people who follow it, and not the concept itself. For example, believing veganism as a concept is bad, just because you had a bad experience with a vegan. It's subtle because people do this all the time with everything. Making arguments that mislead others by only showing the bad apples to support an illusion that the thing as a whole is also bad. Not being able to see connections and the bigger picture. An unintelligent person may have memorized how each of the pieces move in a game of chess, but not understand the role of each piece and how the dynamics thereof evolve as the game progresses. Someone who can observe the bigger picture can strategize and adapt to new information in the pursuit of the ultimate objective. An unintelligent person cleans a spill, but doesn't consider to stop the source of the leak. Reddit, for the love of God, stop equating intelligence with virtue. There are a-holes who are smart and kind people who are dumb. If anything in my culture, kindness would be associated with lower intelligence. But maybe I'm equating lower intelligence with class. I've worked in a call center doing opinion polls, and the biggest a-holes ever were the ones who would burn your ear off with their insight. But again, they weren't a-holes because they were intelligent. It's just there's a-holes across the spectrum. Smart people can be dogmatic and prone to hubris and ignorance. Believing in an authority figure's opinions without question. Believing authorities' figures to always be wrong is equally destructive. Some people earn authority and should be listened to at least more than the average person. Example, when some barstool boy with a high school degree that's never left their hometown thinks they know more than the EPA or the Secretary of the Treasury about everything because the government is not to be trusted. Using the phrase alpha male or beta. When someone says they are an alpha male, I assume they mean in the software sense. I just wanna say that I've been always told that makes you sound unintelligent, but I disagree because it is a way a lot of people say to usually inform one that they are thinking. It's the equivalent to stuttering and pausing to think. Matter of fact, some people don't like silence as an answer because it sounds like ignorance. For people like me, if I think, I take a longer time. If I were to pause, someone could get upset because I didn't say anything at all, not even an elongated up. And yes, I have talked to people that have gotten upset because I paused instead of saying because my father would manipulatively force me to try and get into the habit of pausing silently because it sounds dumb to him. Aversion to reading. It's not a hobby, it's a necessity for advanced cognitive development, critical thinking skills, etc. I mean, as long as you're not referring only to physical books, like many people do when they say this. Yes, I agree. And also, as long as it's information seeking behavior and not strictly for bias confirmation. I haven't touched a book in decades, but ingest a lot of material in the form of articles, discussions, podcasts, and just generally seeking and soaking up information from literally anything due to autodidactic tendencies. Thank you.